Most network marketing businesses run on a very specific, invisible engine. It is a system of forced quotas, where participants are required to buy a certain amount of product every single month just to maintain their commission status. This chart shows the math of that forced demand. Why would a rational person buy a magnetic blanket for $3,300 when a functionally identical one costs $30? They pay that massive premium because the markup is framed as an investment, a down payment for a lucrative position in the sales hierarchy. When that investment capital flows up the chain, the math hits a wall. Because the payout relies on a constantly expanding base of new investors, the structure guarantees that the vast majority of people at the bottom will simply lose their money. Take away the promise of future commissions, and nobody buys the product. The entire economic ecosystem is an illusion, held together by artificial demand rather than actual product quality. When the South Korean distribution company Atomy launched, they stripped out the mandatory buying conditions completely. There are no monthly quotas and no forced purchases. Chairman Park Han-gill described this decision as putting a sword to his own neck. Without contractual obligations forcing people to buy, the company would instantly collapse unless the products were genuinely superior to and cheaper than what you'd find at a regular supermarket. This single rule change destroyed their safety net. They could no longer operate like a direct sales business. They had to adopt the brutal, hyper-efficient logistics of a mass-market retailer overnight. By removing the industry-standard forced quota, Atomy boxed themselves into a corner. They either had to achieve impossible economies of scale or face immediate bankruptcy. You can see the scale of this problem by looking at their flagship health supplement, HemoHIM. The product originated from high-level research at the Korea Atomic Energy Research Institute. Initially, the production math was failing. The factory manufactured the supplement in batches of 3,000, but they were only selling about 500 boxes a month. The plant was running twice a year and bleeding money, even with a high retail price. This chart shows the gamble Atomy took to save it. Instead of retreating, they committed to producing an unheard-of 100,000 boxes a month. They forced the factory to scale. By committing to massive, sustained volume, the per-unit production cost plummeted straight toward the floor. This engineered scale allowed Atomy to undercut the dominant market standards. They priced their supplement at roughly 1/10 the cost of premium competitors, like Changquanzhang's red ginseng. Absolute volume is the only mathematical way to fund absolute quality at an absolute price. That became their core survival logic. Sheer volume only gets you so far. To maintain those margins, Atomy had to physically re-engineer their supply chains, starting with everyday items like shampoo. Traditional manufacturing hides massive inefficiencies. Often, empty plastic bottles are made in one factory, then loaded onto trucks and shipped to a separate filling plant. Companies are essentially paying to transport air across the country. Atomy solved this by integrating the blow molding machine directly onto the filling line. They eliminated the transport waste entirely. Next, they tackled the packaging hardware. By quadrupling the bottle size from 500 milliliters to 2 liters, they only had to buy one pump mechanism instead of 4. Then they introduced cellulose refill bags, cutting out hard plastic production almost entirely. They halved the consumer price without sacrificing quality. Atomy's profit margin comes from aggressively engineering microscopic waste out of the physical supply chain. Once that highly efficient retail logic was proven on their own items, they expanded it to an ecosystem called the AZA Mall, incorporating standard, mainstream brands. The mechanics here are unique. Consumers buy everyday items like a Samsung refrigerator or an LG television at the standard market price, but every purchase generates point value, or PV, for the buyer's account. By capturing and monetizing standard household spending, Atomy transforms into a universal distribution hub, positioning itself as the central transit point for everything a home consumes. Now, consider the cost of this efficiency. We are seeing the rapid growth of the precariat, a class of workers facing permanent displacement as extreme automation takes over physical and cognitive labor. Industrial manufacturing is moving toward dark factories. Here, advanced robots work 24 hours a day, without the need for lighting or climate control. The math is brutal. Automation cuts labor costs down to 1/10 of their previous levels. Every industry must adopt these labor-replacing technologies to compete on price or face extinction. As robots take over production and logistics, the traditional role of the human worker, from the factory floor to the sales counter, is vanishing. For the displaced class, survival requires owning a piece of the automation itself. Atomy's answer to this displacement is the APP, a personal platform business. It is an attempt to decentralize the ownership of the distribution hub we've seen them build. Instead of relying on individuals to manually explain complex products, they developed proprietary AI technology. Users get a customized digital avatar capable of autonomously delivering product pitches and handling customer service. This gives every consumer a free, automated digital franchise. Instead of competing against a robot for a warehouse job, individuals deploy their own AI to capture a piece of the global retail market, using Atomy's manufacturing efficiency to generate income. Atomy began by stripping away mandatory quotas to master the physics of mass production. Now they are deploying artificial intelligence to automate the human element of global distribution, turning the tools of displacement into an engine for individual income.